Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Welcome in, traders, and surprise! We are the best freaking technical analysis channel on ticker symbol AMC GameStop, as well as the broader market. So that is exactly what we're going to be covering today. And so welcome in, guys. God bless each and every single one of you. Hope you're having a stand-up freaking Freaky Friday. As we get into the AMC technicals, you saw a perfect bottom at 160. Now, we had talked about this because you have your uptrend that really tapped right at 160. You saw a pretty parabolic move off of that, right? So we'll kind of go through this all together for you guys. Up 24%, now flagging out from the move, right? So you have a little bit of a bullish flag formation here. And what you should expect from a bullish continuation standpoint is if you see this breakout, traders, you can see this thing go much, much higher, right? All the way into the gap fill at 236, traders, and get that full length of the move here. I think it's very likely that you see the full extension of the gap fill at 273, right? So moral of the story, traders, you break out, you're most likely going to 273, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing, right? Just considering that you were just at 160, a swing of $1 in less than a freaking couple of weeks, right? Less than 2 weeks is absolutely crazy. So looking at this, I wanted to also go over the 4-hour chart because I feel it's important. This kind of outlines really, really well, not just your breakout, but the volume that came on a 4-hour candle, guys. Almost 50 million shares traded in the last 4 hours from this breakout. Ever since that breakout, you're seeing exactly what you want to see from a volume standpoint, and that is bullish consolidation with the volume, bearish volume, particularly going down, right? So Monday morning to Monday afternoon, we should see a breakup or a breakdown from this overall flag formation. And it comes right at your previous resistance here. So if you break the wick of about 195 to 196, traders, right? This thing could go absolutely mayhem Monday morning. So that's what we're watching for on the shorter time frame for AMC. On the daily time frame, guys, you have a couple good things, right? Even though today was a red day, down about 0.5%, you saw it on comically low volume, right? 24 million shares. Now that's in a full freaking day, guys. You remember how I just said you had 48 million shares off the breakout in 4 hours? Well, that comparison alone should show you that the bulls are winning the story and the volume paints the picture. On the MACD, you can see the bearish momentum slowing as you had the 1, 2, 3. The last 3 trading days show slowing momentum on bearish side. The bearish side. I sound like an ape, and you should expect to see this continue until you see that cross to the upside, traders. The last couple of crosses on AMC have been absolutely nasty on the daily time frame for the MACD. Now, it is possible to see this thing fake out, but this cross was 102%, right? And then this cross right here, just barely, right? Just barely crosses at the bottom, 108%, right? So getting that green cross, although it doesn't mean MOAS, right? It doesn't mean the thing is only going to go up. It is a good sign that the bearish momentum is particularly slowing in the stock. And that is exactly what we want to see. On the weekly time frame, I'll jump back to that, right? Stay tuned for that one because that's exciting. On the weekly time frame, you had a freaking bullish hammer candle, guys. So back to back to back, right? Your 4-hour looks good. Your 30-minute looks good. Your 1 day looks good. But then we look at the weekly, traders, and I'm not just trying to hype you guys up. I'm not just trying to pump this freaking stock. In fact, I'm not doing it at all. Looking at the weekly time frame, this is a beautiful, beautiful bullish reaction. And whether or not you like AMC, you can admit here with the entire IWM index down 0.5% on the week and looking like it wants to puke, AMC showing some strength here, closing green on the week, or actually closing exactly flat, but somehow printing a bullish hammer candle on the weekly time frame on beautiful, beautiful freaking volume, guys. Looking at the volume, almost 300 million 300 million last week. As you see this test of the 50 line and the RSI band, traders, this was your do or die for AMC. And it sounds dramatic, but it really was. If you fell beneath 160 and failed to hold this trend line, you would have seen a cross below the RSI band and a cross below the 50 line, which if we just look, the last time you had this happen, traders, was right here. What happened, right? This was your absolute capitulation moment, right? Let's just take a zoom out because that doesn't even do it justice, right? You cross beneath it October 6th of 2025 and just look at the stock over the period of 168 days, half a freaking year, guys, 70% down. Now, there is no promise, right? You can see how it reacts when you crossed up 218%, a beautiful swing trade on AMC. You're now at that do or die point, and you have truthfully, traders, never held above the 50 line since breaking above it, right? This is a great example in which you rocket above the 50 line and then you come crashing all the way back down. And the bearish momentum that picks up once you start to crash is ever long, right? You just continue to fall beneath. This is the only point in time in which you saw a huge move up back in January 2021, and you didn't quite test it, right? You came all the way back down and then just continued to ride the bullish momentum. Well, this, traders, is a huge, huge reflection point in AMC's history. And if you continue to find this bounce here, traders, this is going to go down in one of the strongest AMC weeks in its entire history, right? After seeing a 27 to 12% decrease in the stock, we called out that it was off of decreasing volume that you were seeing this as you go in to a pivotal point of support. And that's exactly what you got, guys, a bullish hammer candle off of high volume. So if you see this thing continue to kind of rally here into the bull zone, this thing should turn its tide and make a, not just a daily gap fill, right? Because you have the daily gap fill sitting at 273, guys, off of this capital raising dump. But you also have, guys, one of your most macro trend lines on the entire stock, at least on the local time frames, right? 318. This rejection right here is going to be absolutely pivotal for the stock, right? If you fail to get back above 318, it would be worrisome, in my opinion, that you may redistribute. However, right, break above 318 and you really push the macro on AMC. Above that, though, right, looking at the daily time frame, we didn't even cover this. The golden cross on AMC is very, very possible, right? Look at how close your 50 and your 200 are. Your 50 is currently at 186 and you are above that, right? Zooming in here, you are above your 50. You closed bullish. Right, who freaking raw? Your 200 sits at 197, guys. 197 is your 200-day EMA. Close above the 200 next week, and I think that this thing gets very, very crazy, right? And this would just end up being a big fat bear trap. Because you are only, right, that is less than 10 or about 10 cents away from getting a macro golden cross on AMC for the first time since 2021, traders. That would be substantial. That would be very, very bullish. And I'm not just saying that. I keep saying that phrase. I'm not just saying it, though. I really do believe that if you get a golden cross, you're showing a change of behavior in AMC. And regardless of where the price is at, the price appreciation that can come from a technical cross like that is tremendous, guys. Is huge, right? So you have a lot of different things playing in your favor. You have a potential bounce off the RSI band. You have a daily MACD cross that is loading, and you have a potential golden cross that is loading. So if you see a bid next week, traders, this thing could get absolutely crazy. One last thing, and then we'll cover one more thing on AMC. This is particularly important, traders. So next week, right? If you see this bullish momentum continue, you do freaking not want to see this thing. Oh yeah, we're breaking out. Hooray, hooray. 222 hits, right? You do not want to see that, because that would be a catastrophic rejection at 222. I say that because that shoulder, head, right shoulder is still very much in pitch here. And the profit target, right, is something that would make it look like the Gme Warrants, right? You do not want to see this head and shoulders, because the breakdown takes you, I think that's dramatic. Hold on. But maybe, right? I think this is more appropriate. To this low. About 90 cents to $1, right? That is not what you want to see, because we do recognize and we're very aware that you still have a daily gap at 112 traders. So coming back here would not be ideal in any means, but you would fill that gap to continue your move higher. Beyond all of this, traders, the only thing that I would say is not the best, and can lead to rejection, but didn't here, right? You saw a beautiful bullish engulfing on the weekly time frame off of the bounce of this uptrend, and you closed above the 9-day EMA after failing to close above it for the first time during this run. You've closed below it here on the weekly time frame, closed below the 9-day weekly EMA. And so that is ground that you want to cover early next week, right? 194, we'll just lump sum it and call it 196. Getting above 196 to $2, traders, is going to be the battle next week. It's going to be so important. And so that's where a lot of our emphasis is on this video, right? Let's see. Weekly time frame looks good. Monthly time frame. So you're actually flipping this as a green doji, traders. Absolutely huge, massive news. Flipping this as a green doji. AMC has never, traders, and I mean never, right? So really bookmark this for July 31st, I think. Bookmark this for July 31st, right? We'll revisit this topic, but AMC has literally never, since 2013 and 2016, had 4 green months in a row. Regardless, right? 4 massively green months, right? This is, although these are 4 green months, you're seeing a whole lot of dojis, right? Up 56%. This run here has absolutely been a monstrous one, right? Up 92% from if you were to close the month today, right? That's huge. You're gaining gains consecutively and you're holding your ground, guys. You've now, this drawdown allowed for the RSI to reset too, which means you can go even freaking higher, right? You didn't even peak your head into the bull zone. Now, this is not something that we cover often, because you're not often in the bull zone on AMC, but the 4 or so times that you've peaked your head into the bull zone on AMC, you've gone absolutely parabolic, right? This is the first example that we have for you. 50% weekly candle. The next candle was 277%. And when I say peek your head in the bull zone, guys, I want you to understand that it is this move right here into overbought territory that is often, once you get into overbought, where you see the most volatile candles in that run, right? The same thing happens here. You see a 6% down candle, and then you peek your head into the bull zone, 116% candle as you kind of peek in to this overbought territory. Now, oftentimes it's a sign on the RSI to get out, right? And I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not going to tell you whether to sell, buy, or hold. But what I can tell you is, once you enter this freaking checkered line, that you see the craziest fucking moves on AMC that you could possibly wish for, right? So the fact that you came so close to doing it back here, right? You saw a rejection on the brink of getting into the bull zone, and now you've reset almost completely. So if you hold high and true next week, guys, you have set yourself up for a little ride into the bull zone. So that's kind of what we got for AMC. I gave you a breakdown of the short term, the long term, and the medium term on AMC. Let's get into GameStop though, because GameStop is going in for a freaking nothing burger. And that's okay, right? We expected this thing to be much more shorter lived until you see some kind of fundamental news. Really, you're just retesting your low here at 2146, and you've pretty much done that, right? 2153 gives you a pretty pitch perfect inverted head and shoulders. Even though there's a double bottom, you could call this a head, right? Shoulder, head, right shoulder, and you can pretty much expect the same exact thing. If you break above this neckline next week, traders, above 2250 gives you the potential profit target of 25 or so, right? But do I expect that to happen? All honesty, traders, I don't. And this is why, right? You've seen a rejection of the 50 line on the daily and a rejection of the RSI band, right? You not just lost it, but you came back to retest it and then you failed. That is weakness on GME. And I think it's happening because of the potential share offering that's coming up, right? Now, I'm no freaking guru, but half cash, half stock is going to come most likely at the price of potential shareholders when you have to raise that much liquidity. Now, I am bullish beyond all means on GameStop. I am, but I think you may see a little bit more stalling into this wedge as you look for further clarity or potential like raise shares, you know? And I think a retest of this uptrend is very much in the play. And if you do have that happen, right, maybe it be end of July as that kind of corresponds with this intersection between the two trends, I would load the freaking boat. And like I said before, I'm not a financial advisor, but I freaking love this company. I love the mission that Ryan Cohen is on to acquire eBay. I just think it's going to be a long freaking ride. And you may see the stock kind of stall out until that is more certain for everyone. On the weekly time frame, we'll take a little peeky weeky on GameStop on the weekly time frame. You saw a rejection of the 50 line and a rejection of the RSI band, right? So again, not what you wanted to see from the bull case standpoint, but it is still in play that you make a bottom for that inverted head and shoulders, right? Potentially at that 2140 area. If you don't, it's likely you come down for a triple bottom, which you oftentimes do not see, right? A triple bottom is a very bullish thing, and you could do it, right? You could come all the way down to 21 bucks flat, and holding that would show you that 21 is the absolute bargain on GameStop, and that you would most likely turn to hopefully, guys. Hopefully, right? I'm not a freaking wizard, but you will exit this pennant at some freaking point, or this bullish channel of consolidation at some freaking point. And when you do, I think you'll see a pretty monstrous move. It's more about when, right? And then whoa, the GME warrants, guys. This is a bigger conversation. Look at this weekly candle down 31.5%. This very distributive look, although you were in a falling broadening wedge, I think once you lost this uptrend, traders, you really solidified your head and shoulders. And we talked about this a couple different times. Did I think it was going to happen? Absolutely not, right? This in regular, I keep saying inverted head and shoulders. This regular head and shoulders had a neckline right around, what is that, 317, right? Put the full move beneath the neckline. That gives you your technical profit target for this technical shoulder, head, right shoulder. And when you broke beneath that trend, traders, it was kind of destiny, right? And you've made that full extension. So is it time to be significantly bullish on the Gme warrants? Should I be worried? People often say buy the fear, sell the greed. I'm kind of looking at this and it doesn't look great. I would love some more clarity from other content creators and or Ryan Cohen or Larry Chang. But theoretically, right, this is the time, based off of the profit target on the Head and Shoulders, that it would be a little bit more safe to accumulate the GME warrants, right? So not financial advisor. I'm not a financial advisor, guys, but the GME warrants look fascinating here. They actually do. Of course, it's not what you want to see. And you have now broken your all-time low on the GME warrants, which is not a great look. Not a great look at all. Your volume is increasing on the daily time frame. That is 1, 2, 3, 4 days of increasing volume as you close towards the lows of the candle. I need to see a more bullish candle formation on this freaking chart before I say it's time, right? And so for that case, you need to see this play out a little bit more, in my opinion, and to either print a green doji, a bullish hammer, or some kind of inverted bullish hammer candle. Once that happens, traders, I may just strike along on this thing, right? But we're going to have to see. We're going to have to wait and see. So my man, Only in Paradise, I feel for you, man. And if I were in your shoes, I am looking for a bullish hammer or some kind of bullish close on this thing. But without further ado, traders, let's get into the main part of the show. This part of the show is absolutely critical for our thesis on everything, right? We have held a thesis on IWM. In case you guys are wondering, IWM is the risk on assets basket, or the small caps basket. We have held the belief that you're going to hit 300. Well, you did that, right? We've held that belief since all the way back in, I think, November, right? During this high right here. We've held that belief, and you finally have played that out. Right? It's a beautiful thing to be right. But what we're watching for here is a potential pullback on IWM. I say that because you have a little bit of a tweezer top here. 2 candle wicks with red closes at the top, right? And oftentimes what that spells is you're probably going to revisit this trend line at about 290. And you're probably, now that you've seen a fall beneath the RSI band on the weekly, probably going to, unless that's reclaimed on Monday, right? You're probably going to see a more extended fall down to fill some gaps. Now let's pull this up on IWM because it's going to matter whether or not you can do something amazing here, right? You've closed above the previous wick, which is good, right? You closed 295.99. So you're seeing a little bit of strength off of the weekly 9-day EMA. And I changed that, by the way, traders. That color is blue because someone mentioned they couldn't tell where the 9-day was. So I want to make it very clear for all you guys. Just in case you guys are wondering, do I take feedback in the comments? Absolutely. I read and respond to every single one. But on the weekly time frame, right, you're looking a little bearish. You're likely to stall out here, probably to the 50-day EMA at 287. So I would say that's what we're targeting as you make lower highs, right? This channel of lower highs, you could test this at 299, reject, and then come down one more time to 287. That's what I'm looking for IWM. And you do have currently have gaps at 264 and then at 252. So if this thing saw a more elaborate retest of our previous all-time high at 270, expect those 2 gaps to fill along the way, right? And that would be a painful thing. That would probably come off of news of inflation, war, whatever it may be. And it would suck for our rally on AMC and GameStop. But regardless of what happens, guys, rain, sleet, or snow, you already know I'm going to be here every single day covering risk on assets for y'all, whether that be AMC, GameStop, or NEO, or crypto. So until next time, traders, subscribe, like, do all of the things to help the algorithm push this channel. I love and appreciate every single one of you. Until next time, traders, the best is yet to come, and peace. Woo! Let's freaking go, guys.